Everybody, this is Professor Snart with a quick video check-in, I guess, to help keep us on track since we don't have class on Wednesday of this week. So there's all of us, or you. And you'll recall that we began on Monday working on our sort of next section of the course in terms of some new readings we're looking at and then a new project that we're working on. And so that project is really your online work for this week. So I've actually built a link directly to the poetry wiki so you can get right to it. And of course you can find it in the units just like normal in Unit 6, the poetry project. So you'll remember that we talked in class a little bit about how everybody for Monday should have read a couple of poems from our textbook. Sometimes they make sense to you, sometimes they don't, sometimes they appeal to you, sometimes they don't. You know, you just have you've fulfilled the assignment by reading a couple of poems, but they didn't really speak to you, which is okay. That's kind of where we're at right now. And what we want to do then with this project is think of or sort of develop really creative ways of engaging with these poems. So your group is probably picking one, two, maybe a few of the poems that various people might have read within your group and building a response. And again, I'd said in class and have highlighted here, like response is sort of an incomplete word for what we're trying to do here. We've used the term illumination before. You know, you're sort of trying to shine light on these poems in interesting ways, thinking in terms of an associative logic or how they associate, or sort of like word association almost, or image association or idea association, rather than the really traditional logic we've used, like for the essay we've written, where you have a clear thesis, you develop topic sentences, there's support for each of those. It moves in a very linear fashion, which was obviously an effective way to create an argument, but what I'm trying to invite you to see here is that it's not the only way to engage with the work of analysis or interpretation, or in our case, like a literary work, but this method could really extend to any kind of engagement that you have to deal with, whether it's with an issue, with a sort of object of contemporary culture, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so we're using the Blackboard Wiki tool, which is what this icon represents, to build our projects. You'll see that, again, I'd set up each individual group here. As group 3 has done, you can notice you can always build more than just the one initial page, and I'll actually click into theirs. So many groups haven't done anything yet beyond just the basic planning stage, which is okay. So what this group has done is used the wiki space, at least initially, right? This is clearly not going to be their end product, but just to make some notes for themselves. The poems they might cover, I'm not sure exactly what this means, but anyway, common themes, you know, notes for themselves, their email addresses so they can communicate within the group, which is a great way to start. And then clearly what they'll develop, and they've even got a notes page. I'm not sure if they've actually made notes or not, but yeah, a couple things. But obviously what the project will become is sort of like the full version of some or all of this. And again, like we talked in class, this is designed to be a multimedia sort of project. So there might be text, but again, I'm trying to get you to see the ways in which text is not the only way to present an idea, an argument, an analysis, a reaction, a whatever. Certainly in the digital age that we live in, we know that we're communicated to, and we sort of we need to learn to be communicators in something more than text. Not that text is less important, but that other things are maybe equally important in terms of making visual arguments, connecting to pieces of audio, connecting to existing pieces of, let's say, culture, whether it's a book, a film, a piece of music, like sort of elements of popular culture. We need to see how those relate to the so-called literary things that we study in class, and vice versa, of course. So that's what this is meant to be. So again, you have the bulk of, or the entirety of the week to be working on this as a collaborative effort. You'll notice that it always sort of flags the person who's done the last edit and when, so I can see who's been in there. And the other thing that I can see, I certainly won't check for this too specifically, but I can access the wiki history and see who's done what and when. So I'm looking for, relatively equal participation by all the group members. And again, an investment of time sort of throughout the week or at various points, not just rushed on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon or whatever the case might be. And then the caveat, of course, is that, you might actually discuss as a group of all these people things that you want to do, but then one person does the entry, whoever it might be in the group. So it's not like I look at that history and think, oh, Han did all the work for this group. It may just be that, he was the one logged in when the group was working. So, don't take that part too seriously. But again, I want every group to make sure that they're providing each of the group members with sort of equal opportunities to participate. So make sure you're sensitive to scheduling issues and various ideas that people have. And honestly, the nice thing about this kind of project is that if two people have what seem like very different ideas or approaches they'd like to take, you don't have to do, and I certainly don't want to see two kind of mini projects evolve, but I'd like to see both of those ideas developed, and maybe ultimately you realize how they connect in some interesting way. That's one of the things that this project does, is that unlike an essay where you sort of start with the thesis, right? This sort of inverts the process, and in engaging the various works in different ways, you sort of realize things as you go. So the thesis, really, if there is one, kind of comes as a culminating point for your work in the process of putting the project together. Okay, so the other thing, much more practically, to take a look at is our syllabus and where we're at. So we're in Unit 6 right now. We've met on Monday, talked kind of within our groups about making some poem choices for your group. Again, I talked a little bit about what the project involved. We don't have our class meeting Wednesday. The online work for this week is just the poetry project, so that's your 100% focus. And then what we'll do when we meet again on next Monday is eventually talk about this group presentation project, which will occupy, you'll notice, a number of our courses in the near term, or class meetings in the near term. But one of the things that we'll do at the very start of this term is have each group from the poetry project sort of present what they did. And again, it's very informal in the sense that you're not doing anything but walking us through what your project turned out to be. So it's not like you have to prepare anything for the presentation in addition to what the project itself already is. The presentation is, again, just the group kind of talking us through where you started, how it developed, what went well, what didn't go well, what you learned about the poems, and all that kind of stuff. So again, a very informal kind of class discussion. But of course, come prepared knowing that you're going to want to walk the group or the class through your group poetry project. And then we'll get into the assignment, or the group presentation assignment, the next one, and then have, presentation work time, and we'll begin the presentations on the 13th. All right, so it's good to be keeping on track as far as not just sort of the immediate class that we're in, but also what we have coming up. And of course, make sure that you're working as a group, on the poetry project itself. Hi, how's it going? Okay, so if anybody has any questions specific really to the project or to the essays that are all now graded or to anything else, be sure to be in touch with me. Otherwise, I will see everybody back in class on Monday.